Envision a vast, restless ocean in 1872, where a sturdy ship sails into oblivion, her crew vanishing without a whisper, leaving behind a vessel adrift like a spectral apparition. Welcome to Forgotten Footprints, your portal to history's most chilling puzzles. Today, we set sail into the enigma of the Mary Celeste, the infamous ghost ship discovered empty in the Atlantic. Her sails billowing, cargo intact, but not a soul aboard. Mutiny, monsters, or a maritime curse? If you're a history hunter thirsty for unsolved seafaring secrets, batten down the hatches. We're diving into this 150-year-old puzzle that still baffles the world. Hoist the sails, and let's navigate the waves of mystery. By the end, you'll be anchored in awe. Picture the 1870s. The Industrial Revolution roars, with factories smoking and railroads sprawling, the seas pulsing as global trade's lifeblood, sea brigantines, swift, two-masted ships hauling cotton, timber, and alcohol across perilous oceans. Braving howling gales, rogue waves, pirates, and hidden reefs, these vessels power America's post-Civil War boom, fueling Europe's industries with vital exports. Each journey tests the crew's grit, navigating by stars and sheer instinct. Their success shapes a new era of commerce, binding nations through trade. These ships, though wooden, carry the ambitions of a nation rebuilding itself. Every creak of the hull tells a story of risk and resilience. The world watches as America rises, one voyage at a time. Imagine the Mary Celeste, a ship born under a dark cloud in late 1860 at Joshua Dewis's shipyard in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, crafted from local timber and launched as the Amazon on May 18, 1861. This 99.3-foot brigantine, sleek, with flush planking and two masts, was destined for transatlantic glory under 9 local investors. But her curse struck early. On her maiden voyage in June 1861, Captain Robert McClellan fell ill and died mid-loading, forcing a grim return. New Captain John Nutting Parker took the helm, only to face disaster, snagging fishing gear off Maine and later sinking a brig in the English Channel, necessitating repairs in London. In a haunting twist, a November 1861 trip to France saw her hull painted, perhaps by artist Honoré de Pellegrin, adding eerie elegance to her doomed legacy. Picture Captain John Nutting Parker steering the Amazon through 2 steady years in the West Indies trade, dodging only the usual sea perils. In 1863, William Thompson took command until 1867, with logs noting no strange tales, until a ferocious October 1867 storm drove her ashore at Cow Bay, Cape Breton Island, leaving her hull battered and abandoned as a wreck. Rescued as a derelict by Alexander McBean on October 15, 1867, she was swiftly sold to a local businessman, then in November 1868 to American mariner Richard W. Haynes for a mere $1,750. Haynes poured $8,825 into her revival, took the captain's helm, and in December 1868 registered her as the Mary Celeste with New York's port collector, perhaps to banish the Amazon's curse or honor Galileo's daughter Mary Celeste, the nun. In October 1869, the ship was seized by creditors and sold to a New York consortium led by James H. Winchester. Early in 1872, she underwent a major refit costing $10,000, boosting her length to 103 feet, breadth to 25.7 feet, depth to 16.2 feet, and tonnage to 282.28 tons, with a second deck added for enhanced cargo capacity and stability. Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs, a 37-year-old devout Methodist from a renowned Massachusetts seafaring family, his father and 4 brothers, all captains, took command. Born April 24, 1835, in Wareham, Massachusetts, Briggs was famed for his teetotaler ways, strict discipline, deep faith, and flawless mariner record. For this voyage, he was joined by his wife, Sarah Elizabeth Briggs, 31, a talented musician who brought her melodeon for uplifting hymns, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia Matilda, a rare family adventure on the high seas. Though not uncommon for captains, Briggs left his school-aged son Arthur with his grandmother to continue his education. In October 1872, Captain Briggs handpicked a reliable crew. First mate Albert G. Richardson, 28, newly married to Winchester's niece. Second mate Andrew Gilling, 25, a Danish-American. Steward Edward Head, 23, also newlywed. And 4 skilled German seamen from the Frisian Islands. Arian Martins, 35. Gottlieb Goodschall, 23, and Brothers Boy and Volkert Lorenzen, 23 and 29. On October 20th, Briggs oversaw loading 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol worth $35,000 at New York's Pier 50, bound for Genoa. His wife Sarah and daughter Sophia joined a week later. On November 3rd, Briggs wrote of the ship's beautiful trim, expecting a fine passage. Rough weather delayed departure until November 7th, when Sarah sent a final letter from Staten Island, worrying about their son Arthur. Navigated by stars and chronometers, the crew faced the Atlantic's storms, fogs, and isolation. Briggs logged calm progress, but every voyage was a gamble. This was a high seas saga of ambition and risk. Could you face the abyss, where one wave could erase you? Stay tuned, history hunters. The storm's brewing, and secrets await. Hear the snap of canvas sails and the creak of timbers as the Mary Celeste departs Staten Island on November 7th, 1872, her hold packed with 1,701 volatile alcohol barrels, the air heavy with salt, tar, and excitement. Captain Briggs, the devout leader, leads a pre-departure prayer for divine protection amid the bustle. Sarah plays uplifting hymns like Nearer My God to Thee on her melodeon to lift spirits, while little Sophia toddles the decks with joyful laughter, perhaps hugging a cherished toy. The diverse crew, Americans, Danes, and Germans, works in harmony. Newlywed first mate Richardson confidently helms the ship, thinking of his bride. Second mate Gilling plots courses by starlight with his sextant. Steward Head cooks nourishing meals of salt pork, biscuits, potatoes, and dried fruits. The Lorenzen brothers share North Sea tales in thick accents, and Martins, with Goodschall, expertly handle rigging and sails to harness every wind. As they sail eastward into the Atlantic, the ocean starts off merciful, with Briggs meticulously logging steady progress in the slate log, a temporary record before the main logbook, under fine weather, with only routine waves and occasional squalls testing the refitted hull. Yet, the Atlantic's moods shift unpredictably. Historical accounts show the ship endured heavy weather for 2 weeks en route to the Azores, battling gales over 35 knots that pitched and rolled the vessel, possibly causing minor leaks or cargo shifts. On November 25th, the Mary Celeste is spotted by the Dei Gratia, another New York brigantine under Captain David Reed Morehouse, a Massachusetts maritime friend of Briggs, near Santa Maria Island in the Azores at 37 degrees 1 minute north, 25 degrees 1 minute west. They signal via flags, "All well here, fair winds to you." A routine greeting masking any issues. Briggs's last entry that day logs the position, tolerable north winds, and land sighting, potentially an error that sparked later theories, as modern reviews place him 120 miles west due to a faulty chronometer from the refit or magnetic anomalies. But then, silence descends like a thick fog, veiling the events of those 10 lost days from November 25th to December 4th in Enigma. What ordeals unfolded? Maybe the cargo shifted in rough seas, with 9 barrels leaking toxic methanol fumes from porous red oak casks, filling the air with a stinging haze that ignited fears of explosion among the crew. Or perhaps a sudden waterspout, a swirling vortex of wind and water prevalent in the Azores, struck, flooding the hold with roaring force, overwhelming decks and prompting desperate pump disassembly to bail out water. Historical data from the International Comprehensive Ocean Atmosphere Dataset verifies gales and turbulent seas in late November, as reported by other ships. No distress calls were logged by passers-by, but a catastrophe must have hit, forcing a fateful choice. On December 4th, the Dei Gracia rediscovers her drifting erratically east near the Azores at 38 degrees 20 minutes north, 17 degrees 15 minutes west, sails in disarray, rigging snarled like wind-tossed webs, no one steering her wandering path. Morehouse, familiar from their joint start and prior encounter, hails her multiple times. Silence reigns, broken only by the haunting wind's whistle through the ropes. Concerned for his friend's vessel, Morehouse sends a boarding party, first mate Oliver DeVoe and second mate John Wright, rowing through choppy waves to board her. Stepping aboard with pounding hearts, they shout names: Briggs, Richardson, Sarah. Anyone? But only the wind replies, howling through tangled rigging and flapping sails like spectral wings. The ship is an eerie ghost town. A sounding rod reveals 3.5 feet of water in the hold, yet she's seaworthy, with bilge pumps disassembled mid-repair, possibly clogged by old coal dust. Navigation essentials, the chronometer and sextant, are gone, along with ship's papers and the main log post November 25th. The slate log's final entry hints at sudden chaos, preventing transfer. The lifeboat yawl is missing, davits bare, and ropes neatly cut, signaling an intentional abandonment, not storm damage. Yet, the galley features a half-eaten chicken and potato meal, warm on the stove, as if the cook just left. Fresh bread in the bin, full tea kettles poised, Sarah's sewing machine oiled, threaded, and ready with fabric. Toys strewn in the captain's cabin, as if Sophia's giggles were cut short. A vial of sewing oil stands steady on a table, untouched by any turmoil. Crew's pipes, tobacco, and chests with valuables intact, including Sarah's jewels and Briggs' Bible, open to verses on stormy faith. Even the ship's cat meows, mournfully, heightening the bizarre tableau. The cargo remains largely secure below, but 9 barrels are empty or broken, their contents likely leaked or vaporized, leaving subtle, acrid scents. Yet no burns or blasts indicate fire. The mystery grips the soul. Why did seasoned Captain Briggs, with family and trusty crew aboard, forsake a sturdy ship mid-ocean, abandoning 6 months' food, freshwater casks, and all possessions, including vital navigational tools that could have steered them home? Modern simulations by Woods Hole. Oceanographer Phil Richardson reveal the unmanned vessel could drift 400 miles in 10 days under partial sails, yet this fails to unravel the abandonment enigma. Join me, history hunters. Grip tight, for the unknown's abyss beckons, and wave-hidden truths surge like a tidal onslaught. Dive back into December 5th. 1872, the Dei Gracia's crew, baffled by the Mary Celeste drifting like a lost soul on the wild Atlantic, boards under Captain Morehouse's urgent command. Hearts race against crashing waves and creaking timbers as they shout across the decks. No answer, only the wind's lonely wail and Hull's slap reply. The ship yaws aimlessly, its foresail shredded by a gale, other sails set oddly for fair weather, rigging flapping like ghostly banners. Below, time stands still. Sarah's silent melodeon with Rock of Ages sheet music open, Sophia's toys, doll and blocks, scattered mid-play, Briggs's navigational table stripped of tools, but his Bible revealing Psalm 107:23-24. The galley holds a warm, uneaten chicken and potato meal, forks poised, fresh bread and steaming tea kettles ready, as if disaster snatched the crew mid-bite. Plunge into the hold of the Mary Celeste in 1872. 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol cast an ominous shadow, 9 empty or breached, their acrid scent lingering without a scorch or splinter from explosion. No bodies lie on the floor, no bloodstains the decks or bunks, only an orderly, bone-chilling absence greets the boarding party. The yawl, the sole lifeboat, is gone, davits bare with ropes cut clean, hinting at a deliberate escape, not chaos. The logbook halts on November 25th, 400 miles east of Discovery, noting, at 5, made the island of St. Mary's bearing ESE, a land misjudged by navigational error. DeVoe and Wright, securing the ship with hasty sail and pump repairs, steer her 800 miles to Gibraltar through thick fog, arriving December 13th for a British salvage hearing. Step into the dramatic Gibraltar hearing of December 1872, where Attorney General Frederick Solly Flood, a prosecutor with a flair for the theatrical and a keen eye for suspicion, turns a routine salvage claim into a gripping inquisition. Obsessed with foul play, he seizes on blood on Briggs's sword, later proven rust, and bow cuts he labels axe marks, though experts blame wear or ice, plus the missing lifeboat to accuse the De Gratia crew of murder for profit. Detained for weeks in barracks, interrogated fiercely, the Mary Celeste is stripped bare, divers probe the hull, doctors test stains, surveyors judge her seaworthiness. As Solly Flood declares, the inference is that there has been some sort of proceeding liable to capital punishment. Wild theories ignite, a drunken crew slaughtering the Briggs family over discipline, Riffian pirates raiding and fleeing, or an insurance scam by Briggs and Morehouse, old maritime friends who dined pre-voyage. After intense testimony, including DeVoe's account of the Mary Celeste's seaworthy state and lack of violence, the Gibraltar court in 1872 clears the De Gratia crew of foul play, yet Solly Flood's doubts linger. Salvagers claim just 1/6 of the $46,000 insurance, $8,300, a paltry sum tainting their reputations for years. The 10 souls, the Briggs family with their bold family voyage dreams and their seasoned crew, vanish forever into the Atlantic's depths, the lifeboat's wreckage lost for over 150 years. No survivors or messages in bottles found. Was it blind panic from a false alarm, like a feared sinking or barrel explosion? Or a darker secret buried in time and Solly Flood's missing notes? This spectral enigma transcends folklore, a nautical nightmare captivating Victorian newspapers with the sea waif tales and modern sleuths like Anne McGregor decoding logs and weather data. Brace yourself, history hunters. We dive deeper, theories rising to test your sanity with court transcripts, descendant tales, and ocean simulations. Ahoy! History hunters, raise the sails on the Mary Celeste's vanishing crew as we brace for a storm of theories to shake your core. Over 150 years, this enigma has birthed a tapestry of ideas, from maritime science's logic to Victorian sensationalism's wild tales, captivating taverns and academia alike. Theory 1. The alcohol explosion fear. A top contender among modern historians. 9 leaking methanol barrels. Their porous red oak casks, unlike the sturdy white oak of 1,692 others, may have unleashed toxic fumes, building pressure in the warm Azores weather. Fearing a blast, the crew might have vented hatches and fled to the lifeboat via a painter rope, only for a sudden storm to snap the line, swamping the yawl in rough seas. A 2006 Channel 4 experiment by chemist Mary Celeste using butane to mimic a cool pressure wave explosion, loud bang, no fire, mirrors the ship's unscathed state. Filmmaker Anne McGregor's 2001 to 2007 research bolsters this, pointing to a faulty coal dust clogged pump, misreading water depth, noting Briggs didn't sail with a broken pump and a leaking ship, emphasizing the captain's prudence. Theory 2. Natural disaster strikes without warning. A waterspout, a maritime tornado common in the Azores, barrels down, pumping water into the hold through open hatches and panicking the crew into the yawl, which then swamps in the chaos or is separated by the twister's force. Or a seaquake. Rumbles beneath the hull, releasing seabed gases that bubble up and create disorientation, or even hallucinations from methane, causing the crew to flee. This explains the disarray, torn sails, loose rigging, and the disassembled pump, but not why they'd abandon without trying to bail or repair, especially with ample provisions and the ship remaining afloat. Historical weather logs from the International Comprehensive Ocean Atmosphere dataset note gales over 35 knots and rough seas around late November, with other vessels like the Dei Gratia reporting similar conditions, supporting the idea of a sudden squall. Theory 3. Mutiny or murder boils over in the isolation of the sea. Solly Flood suspected the crew, perhaps drunk on pilfered alcohol, though the cargo was poisonous, denatured ethanol, unfit for drinking, rising against the strict captain over harsh discipline or perceived slights, slaughtering the family and fleeing in the lifeboat. Or pirates, maybe North African ruffians or opportunistic raiders, boarded from a small boat, killing all and escaping with minimal loot to avoid suspicion. But no violence evidence, no bullet holes, no blood. Valuables left behind including the safe with money and jewelry, and the Dei Gratia crew cleared after alibis and character testimonies. Theory 4. Insurance fraud orchestrated by Briggs and Morehouse, colluding to abandon the ship and find it for the salvage payout. But Briggs owned a 1/3 share in the vessel, valued at $14,000, and took his beloved family along. Unlikely for a devout Christian man with no history of deceit, as descendant interviews confirm. Wilder speculations abound, a giant squid dragging them under from Chambers's journal in 1904, inspired by squid attacks on ships. Or the Bermuda Triangle's magnetic pull, though the location is far outside the triangle near the Azores. Even paranormal curses tied to her Amazon days, with captains dying and collisions, suggesting a haunted hull that drove the crew mad. Historians now favor layered, rational causes. Anne McGregor's Smithsonian-funded research harnessed GPS simulations and weather data to show Briggs was 120 miles west of his position due to a faulty chronometer, anticipating land 3 days early. Facing 35-knot winds and rough seas the night before the last log, with the pump clogged by coal dust and disassembled, Briggs couldn't gauge the hold's water. McGregor posits that, after the storm, belatedly spotting land and doubting buoyancy, he ordered abandonment on November 25th, thinking safety near. Phil Richardson's models confirm the unmanned ship could drift 400 miles in 10 days. In a groundbreaking 2025 twist, the University of Southampton expedition under Dr. Emma Thompson uncovered a lifeboat wreck off the Azores via sonar and drones, 300 meters deep. Forensic tests found alcohol residue, 19th century timber-matching Mary Celeste blueprints, bone fragments with tentative DNA ties to crew descendants, including Briggs lines, and hypothermia signs, no violence, just hasty launch with scant provisions. Unveiled at Lisbon's June 2025 Maritime Conference, it points to panic evacuation and drowning in cold waters, though skeptics call for DNA confirmation and peer review. No fantasy, this enigma thrives in debate, from Doyle's yarns to Hicks's ghost ship, 2004, and Martin's The Ghost of the Mary Celeste, 2014, leaving the eternal question, what terror hurled them overboard? Your verdict? History hunters, fumes, fraud, or deep sea horror? Share below and let's chart the storm. The Mary Celeste didn't fade into a serene sunset. She anchored forever in legend's depths, a haunting emblem of the ocean's ruthless mysteries, humanity's frailty against nature, and the allure of the unexplained, as the age of sail waned with steamships rising. After the Gibraltar hearings closed in March 1873 with no convictions despite Solly Flood's doubts, she was returned to her owners, refitted, and sailed anew under fresh captains. She traded across the Atlantic and West Indies, passing to Captain Thomas L. Fleming from 1880 to 1884, yet her curse lingered. In 1885, under Captain Gilman C. Parker, she met a shameful end, deliberately wrecked on Haiti's Rocheleau Reef in an insurance scam, laden with worthless cargo like old boots and rotten fish claimed at $30,000. Parker's trial in Boston for willful shipwrecking collapsed with a hung jury and insurer repayment, leaving her timbers to wash ashore, a once proud brigantine reduced to coral ruin. The Mary Celeste's tale became a mariner's caution, driving stricter rules for volatile cargo like alcohol, mandating better venting and secure casks, and igniting debates on salvage laws. Her reduced award setting a suspicious precedent in global admiralty courts. Yet, her true legacy thrives culturally. A ghost ship icon sparking a flood of fact-blended fiction. Arthur Conan Doyle's 1884 story ignited myths, inspiring films like Hammer's 1935 The Mystery of the Mary Celeste, with Bela Lugosi's vengeful sailor, 1961's Phantom Ship, the 2000 horror Haunting of the Mary Celeste, and documentaries such as 2007's The True Story of the Mary Celeste, and Smithsonian's Abandoned Ship. TV's Unsolved Mysteries and podcasts like Stuff You Missed in History Class probe the enigma, while Valerie Martin's 2014 novel and Brian Hick's 2004 Ghost Ship weave literary and historical threads. She embodies the terror of sea isolation, echoing Victorian fears and our craving for puzzles, fueling wild theories, sea monsters to aliens, that echo in forums and books today. On Forgotten Footprints, we chart these lost paths, akin to ongoing quests. Clive Cussler's 2001 false claim of finding her wreck off Haiti, debunked by living wood samples as the timber was too fresh. Anne McGregor's forensic recreations using replicas and simulations, and the groundbreaking 2025 discovery of the lifeboat by Dr. Emma Thompson's team from the University of Southampton, with DNA and residue evidence pointing to a panicked end in icy waves, presented at Lisbon's Maritime Conference. This resonates today, boosting tourism in Nova Scotia's Spencer's Island, home to a Mary Celeste monument, museum, and annual festivals where visitors explore replica decks and ponder the curse. And Gibraltar's Admiralty Court replicas, where interactive exhibits let you investigate the hearing. The crew may be lost to the deep, their bones perhaps scattered on Azores seabeds or confirmed in the 2025 find, but their echo thunders on, reminding us of humanity's arrogance against the elements and the power of mystery to endure. Let's salute their ill-fated voyage by pursuing the truths still adrift, because every wave reveals more, and in chasing these ghosts, we find ourselves reflecting on our own voyages through the unknown. Shiver me timbers, that was a thrilling dive into the Mary Celeste's ghostly puzzle, unsolved for years, but now within reach with fresh finds. Did fumes spark chaos, a storm seal their doom, or something sinister lurk below? Share your take in the comments, and let's make waves together. If this eerie adventure has you hooked on history, hit that like, share it, and follow for more captivating tales.